So since this challenge to me is like such a big challenge, this desire to have impact, to desire to serve, to desire to be significant, to me, because this is such an important thing, I want to just expound on this just a little bit more, because unless I can actually show how the smallest great is actually the secret to becoming, being able to live the life that you want, you're not going to, uh, actually apply this or see the world this way, because you're going to continue to look at life by trying to do big things, right? And not understanding that actually it's just taking these small actions that come together that actually makes a big difference. So if a big problem is small problems bundled together, then something epic is a big solution, if you can think about it. And it's a big solution is nothing more than small solutions put together. Think about that. And so instead of trying to have one big solution, actually, if it is really just small solutions put together, then really you just need to solve one small problem at a time, because that's a solution. So every time you solve a small problem, you actually have a small solution, and that accumulates, and that becomes a big solution. And so that is actually what becomes epic. A good example is, and you see this often, but in my case, I started with 5 minutes of meditation and 5 minutes of practice. That's actually all I could devote, because I was always trying to like practice more, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever actually seemed good, whatever seemed epic. And I realized I couldn't, and so I backed down. I came down to the principles, and I said, okay, like if I do small, it's great, and that's all I can do. And so at this point, there's a certain humility involved, because I gave up trying to be someone big, if you will, someone epic. I said, okay, I can't start there, so I'm gonna see if at least I can do something. And that humility of wanting to be normal is actually really important, because if you look at all spirituality, it actually asks you to give up the attachment to actually becoming someone important. Another way to say that is that the goal of all spiritual practices is for a person to become normal, which is a really interesting thing. And so they talk about that actually in the Judeo-Christian traditions, where basically the goal, of having faith is to be a normal human being, and they talk about humility. And then in the Taoist tradition, it's actually the same. In the Buddhist tradition, it's the same. To let go of all your attachment towards the worldly things, right? And just to do the simple things. And so, really, actually, the goal of all spiritual tradition is to basically talk about, being simple, having a simple life. If you read the Tao Te Ching, it talks about just having a simple life, being a normal person, and to give up attachment towards, greed and things like that. Now, this attachment, I would like to say that if we were to translate this attachment towards modern languaging, what I would like to say is that attachment is an imbalanced state where you're looking for something that you hope will actually balance you. It's like if you have enough money, then maybe you feel like you can relax. If you were in a loving relationship, maybe that person would accept you and you can finally accept yourself. If you just had enough sex, maybe you'd have actually some confidence that you are attractive, and that that you can actually, that you're important to someone, and that you can have intimacy, or whatever it is. We're hoping to have these things in abundance, lots of resources, so that we could finally have the kind of life that we want, where it's going to be effortless, where we're looking for effortless power, where we feel like we don't have to try so hard, but then at the same time we'll be significant, and then at the same time we'll be able to make a difference, and then we'll be able to belong and be happy, really, right? So the epicness that we seek, the greed that we seek, or the attachment that we have so that we can actually have a simple life where we have meaning and where we are satisfied, and so on and so forth. And so the languaging around that might be different, but if we really look at it, if we look at really what the traditions tell us, they basically say, hey, if you seek for something simple and being able to do some simple things, like doing one thing at a time, and if you don't try and be an epic person, but be a normal person who can do these simple things, then you come to this concept that's called dust gather into mountain. And basically, dust gathers and then eventually it becomes a mountain. So don't look for big things. And I've heard Guy Finley portray this concept in a much more epic way, and I think that's powerful. And he said, "Out of the small, the great is born." That men at first are babies, or well, women, men and women. I mean, as in like people, they become adults. They're epic. They're first small. Trees, giant trees, first are come out of seeds. And so basically saying that, hey, you need to have a starting point. And all starting points are small. And if you don't recognize this reality, then you can't get anywhere. And so the humility to make yourself small allows you to have a starting point. And that concept is also called seed path food. That before, it's part of a view path food concept where you understand that whatever path you go on and whatever food you want, you need to start with a seed. A simple seed. So it's called seeding. And so this view that I'm actually presenting to you is actually me trying to seed a view, a concept, a simple concept that all big problems are nothing but small problems bundled together, and something epic is nothing more than a giant solution which is small solutions bundled together. And if you have this view of the yin and the yang, then all of a sudden your worldview becomes more balanced, and you start realizing, oh, if I want a giant solution, I need to actually just have lots of small solutions. And if I want to have small solutions, then I need to take this big thing that I'm going through and then break them into small problems and then start coming up with small solutions for each small problem. And what a powerful way to look at life. And that this is the essence of effortless power, and that this is the reason why trying to seek to be someone that we're not. Because I want to say we're all normal. Even the most abnormal person is just normal. It's really interesting. If you see someone who is actually truly different, then they long to be normal, because the most important thing is to be able to bond for human beings, in death, to be able to have the people that you love together with you, to be able to feel like you made a difference, and to feel like you've had a good life. But what does it really mean? It really means that even though we do die alone, in some ways, because there's no guarantee, but we see it from the picture. Like, if we imagine that we've died and, we look at, our tombstone, we'd like to see the people that we care about. And depending on what you see there, it shows what's important to you today, right? So